Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Back on again, and wanted to have a conversation about the dangers of cognitive dissonance. And I think it's a good conversation to have, but also too wanted to come on and provide some clarity on some things too, to clarify some stuff. But yeah, I do want to just start off with there's some dangers in cognitive dissonance, and basically cognitive dissonance is a psychological term that is used to describe how people may have a negative response to being presented with facts, information, factual information that goes against what they believe or what they accept as true. And the thing about it is, for many people, when we having this type of discussion, for many people, it can be overwhelming for them. And I just wanted to talk about the dangers of it, because many times what happens is, because we are familiar with things and things have always been a certain way, when somebody or something may come and present something that challenges that, it makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And I think it's not only, I think it's warranted to discuss it in a way where people can gain an understanding and can see it from a different perspective. Now, want to just do a disclaimer. I do have a degree in psychology from Troy, but I'm not a psychologist. I haven't gone on further to get a degree as far as for counseling and anything like that. So I'm not trying to present this in any way that I'm a medical professional, but just through, my studies with majoring in psychology, through some more personal things that I've dealt with, and just through experience, and also just the ability to read and study up on it. Cognitive dissonance can be a dangerous thing. And the reason why it can be dangerous is because if we don't recognize it, many of us will react in certain ways that will cause us to react out of our emotions instead of approaching things from a logical standpoint. Cognitive dissonance will also make you feel as if that because somebody provides some information, provide credible information that is against what you believe, then it is you can feel threatened by that. But I just wanted to just talk about that, and I will make a post later that will clearly kind of explain cognitive dissonance and give some examples that if somebody may want to read about it and gain a better understanding of it. But especially in politics, it's a dangerous thing. But I did want to get on here and provide some clarity too, right? One of the things that I wanted to provide clarity on, I made a post this morning, and in the original post, what I made in the original post was the wrong information. I made a post said that not all Perry County employees receive a bonus pay, right? That was a typo on my part. All of the Perry County employees did receive the Christmas bonus, right? But that everybody did not receive holiday pay. And that's why I wanted to come back on and provide that clarity, because when I made the original post, it had, it was a clerical error on my part that I had the Christmas bonus, but it was really meant to say holiday pay. And I went back and I made the edit of it a few minutes afterwards. I was called and told that was wrong, and I went and made that correction. And like I've said before, if I'm presented with verifiable information that anything that I post is wrong, that I will come on here and I will openly say it. So I am openly being transparent and honest that on the original post that I made this morning, that was under the title of all employees Perry County employees didn't receive Christmas bonus, I was wrong with what I said. The statement should have been, which I made the correction to, that all of the Perry County employees did not receive holiday pay. Now, what I did provide is I provided a actual picture of what I provided yesterday of the letter that went out under the letterhead from the chairman of the Perry County Commission that was sent out thanking every employee for their hard work. But what I also mentioned too is I also provided a letter that was sent out from the Perry County Commission, the letterhead for the Perry County Commission, that basically said it was a notification that said that all sheriff department employees and ambulance service who don't work on Christmas Day would not be paid. And that since the jail is closed, that they shouldn't be scheduled to work. Now, what I provided with that is, to me, and this was my assessment, that with the ongoing, there's a ongoing court order, and there was a bench trial that was held on the 17th of December between Perry County Sheriff Roy Fikes against the Perry County Chairman Albert Fitzgerald Turner over a dispute on, it was a dispute that they had as far as with who controls the security, if I'm not mistaken, who controls the security in the Perry County Courthouse. And that court action was going on, and honestly, what it seems as if, to me, if the rest of the county employees got holiday pay, then why aren't the people that work at the jail, why won't they receive holiday pay? Even if the jails were shut down. Sheriff Fikes said he shut the jail down. There was an article that I shared that was posted back in September that WAKA News shared that said Sheriff Fikes said that he was shutting the jail down and he wasn't going to open it up until he felt like it was safe enough to do it. Now, if you guys go back and you see on October the 9th, there was a comment, there was a post shared by Chairman Turner that was a summary of December the 9th. There was a post shared by Chairman Turner that was a summary of the Perry County Commission meeting, and in which he said that the contractor said that the county jail was ready to be back open. The work was complete and it was ready to be back open. On December the 9th, I shared a video of the testimony of the contractor in which the contractor said that the work that he was contracted to do was complete, but there was a lot of work that needed to be done before any prisoners being able to go back in there. Right. And I shared that. So I just wanted to just give context back so everybody can understand what I said with that. Now, I also wanted to hit on the fact that anything to me that was done in the sense in a reprisal role or way to get back at the sheriff department. Why? Because if the prison is not open, the question that needs to be asked, right? In another post that I shared too recently, that Chairman Turner said when he talked about there's a dispute and how Sheriff Fikes was taking him to court, Chairman Turner acknowledged in his post, and he said that he acknowledged that the sheriff departments aren't employees of the county, of employees of the commissioner, but the commission holds the strings to the purse for the sheriff department. Now, why would he suggest that? Why would he even post it? And then turn around and withhold holiday pay for the sheriff departments and the ambulance service. And speaking of the ambulance service, there's an individual who allegedly works for the ambulance service that shared my post. And in the post, he alleged that my post was misleading. And he shared pictures of as proof. He shared pictures of the pay stub that was dated the 22nd of December, and he shared just the letterhead from the chairman. I asked for clarity, and in the clarity that I asked, I was like, what's the difference? And I shared the same letter that I shared in the post this morning, that I shared yesterday. I shared the same letter. I said, what is the difference between this letter and the letter that you have folded? Because it just had it was folded and you can just see the top. You couldn't see the full context of what the letter that was provided. That was presented in a way to disprove that, hey, the county employees got holiday pay, right? Well, after I presented it, the individual said that there was no difference. And a few minutes later, when I went back to the post, that the post is still up, but the comments in which the evidence that was provided was deleted. But the same post was left up that was suggesting that the information I provided was misleading. I think that's intellectually dishonest, and I think that those practices deceitful in nature, right? And the reason why I say that is because I have 100% since the beginning, since I started, I have 100% asked that if you can provide verifiable information that proves that any information that I provide or anything that I put out is misleading or wrong, I would gladly come back and say it. I will gladly come back and say it, just like I said on this post, right? My whole intent on anything, and then somebody came back and they questioned, asking if I was running for office. I'm not running for office. Like, I have no desire to run for office, right? Like I tell people all the time, and what I've said, my whole motivation has been to provide, verifiable information of and to counter a lot of the misinformation that's been going out there. And a lot of people have, not exactly a lot of people, but a few people have, first of all, I understand everybody's not going to agree with you. And I welcome that. I welcome, people not agreeing with me. But I will also offer this to you too, right? There's nothing stopping you from blocking my page. There's nothing if you don't agree with anything that I put out or what I'm talking about, there's nothing that's stopping you from blocking my page. If you disagree with the frequency in which I choose to make a conscious decision to provide information, then there's nothing there's nothing stopping you from blocking my page. There's nothing, right? Nothing at all. Because I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, right? And I want people to understand there's a distinct difference in between, obsession and dedication and discipline and commitment, right? I clearly have articulated that everything that I'm doing is a choice. And the reason why I'm doing it is to provide information so people can clearly see for themselves and make a decision for themselves. I also understand that some people, you can provide the information to them, they would still choose to believe and flow with however they flow. And they have 100% the right to do that. 100% the right to do that, right? What I am doing is the question that I do want to counter and I do want to ask is that for the people who have made statements, and I've seen people that make statements he always posted something every day about Albert and he digging stuff up, right? The people that I have, the questions that I have with all of that is, if there wasn't all of this information out there of misleading information or straight out lies that was presented and put out to the public by the chairman himself, then I wouldn't have anything to come back and go and say this was wrong. But there have been years upon years upon years upon years of the same thing that's out there. And like I said before, if I have misspoken wrong or if I have said anything wrong, please provide me the information on something and I will come back and say that I was wrong. Right? But just because you don't like what I'm doing, you can exercise your right to block me. Because I have not once said anything about what anybody else is doing, because guess what? It is you have the right to do that. You have 100% the right to do that. But what I will not be quiet about is the reality that the community that I'm from, Perry County in the Black Belt, there's a reality that there's a lot of things that are just not done right. There's a reality that when we start sitting down and looking at the numbers, like people will be upset at me for providing facts, providing the truth, and not address the realities, the realness and the realities of what's going on back home. When I say certain things like Perry County, Alabama is the second poorest county in the state of Alabama and the 23rd poorest county in the nation. There's roughly 3,100 counties in America. And Perry County is the 23rd poorest county. But yet we still have the same people that's been in leadership for years, for over decades, 2 and 3 decades. And people are upset at me for providing information that show that information that's been presented to the people have been misleading or straight false or lies. Right? That's what I call misplaced anger. You can still be mad at me, but that's not going to stop me from presenting information. That's public information. It's nothing private and nothing has been personal because it's not personal. I just say this, man. As we sit down and look at certain things, everybody say the truth hurt. The truth don't hurt. The truth in of itself sets you free. What hurts is the reality that people have to accept the reality that they have been believing a lie. And that's why I've always advocated against the saying the truth hurt. The truth in of itself don't hurt. The truth sets you free. The truth is revealing. The truth is freeing. The problem is many of us, we get upset because we've been accepting a lie and we've been believing a lie. So when somebody presents us with something that counters that, we are naturally inclined to attack that and go against it instead of sitting back and saying, dang, yeah, that one, no, I was wrong in that. So, but at the end of the day, every employee in Perry County did not receive holiday pay. It was specifically the first responders that didn't get it. And the first responders, I think that's a slap in the face to them. And I 100% believe that is retaliatory in nature, by the Perry County, commission chairman, that he holding a grudge. And that's his way of taking it out on the people that work for a department that he can't exercise any control over. Cause it's clearly evident. There's other times where, I want people to understand, man, once you sit down and you look at it, it's really crazy. Like, it's really, really crazy. There's a difference in understanding government, understanding hierarchy, understanding structure, understanding chains of command, understanding those things. Once you have an understanding of that, it's not hard to do the things, to operate in the right way. But when somebody is trying to create something where they have, and try to extend their sense of control, you know, it says a lot about an individual. Yeah, Flo, you're right. Same information has always been public and available. No one thought to reference that information and ask questions in a public forum to those elected officials for accountability. That's it. But Flo, I will go on even further. A lot of those elected officials don't respect the people enough to provide the information so that they can verify, because they think that they're too ignorant to be able to do it. Because if they did not think that, then they would have respected them enough, had enough respect for them enough to provide that information. And I think the people who have been more vocal and upset about me are only been people that have in the past been supportive of these said individuals. Not once have I seen them say anything, hold them to account, about, their actions. Not once have I seen them come back and say, well, hey, this said this is wrong. Why did you say that? Not once have I seen them hold other people accountable because maybe they kin to each other, they're good friends, or they went to school together. But then when you sit down and look at what the bare minimum should be, or what things should be done according to the laws of the land, or the Alabama Constitution, or the Alabama Code of Ethics, or whatever, you never hear anybody ask those questions. You never see them try to call them to account. And the question is why? Right? Because of cognitive dissonance. Because we just say, hey, it is what it is. I remember, Saturday night, not Saturday Night Live, but the Tonight Show is some comedians, they do like the satire, and, they go around and they like to go to, Trump rallies. And I remember, this one, they asked this lady, and it was like, they use things, they asked a question about, they said it was about former President Joe Biden. And they asked the question, they said, hey, are you, what about Joe Biden when Joe Biden said that he couldn't go to Vietnam because he had bone spurs and, he couldn't do this, that, and the third. And the lady said, Joe Biden is not a patriot. She said, he's a sorry excuse for a man and blah, blah, blah. And the lady turned around and said, oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. That was, President Trump. She was like, so what do you have to say about it? And she said, the lady without a blink of an eye said, well, my brother-in-law had bad feet, so that's why he couldn't go to Vietnam. That is an example of cognitive dissonance. That is when something is presented and it is against something, it is against or not favorable to somebody that you oppose. You want to use that you want to fire that forget. You want to use that as ammunition. But then when you turn around and it shows you that it goes against somebody you support, then you have all these excuses. And you do all of this thing, do all of the mental gymnastics and jump out of the way about it just to justify it. And Flo, you're right. Until the questions of accountability get answered, keep asking more questions. Yes. Listen, that's all I ask, man. Like, for example, I want people to sit down and think about this. Think about this for a minute. On April the 9th, 2024, Albert Fitzgerald Turner said on the on his county commissioner page, he said that he was going to secure funding, $175,000, to put up those lights, because that was the 5 days after the Perry County superintendent announced that they had finished the baseball field, but they didn't have lighting, but they had the wiring done for it. So on April the 9th of 2024, the chairman said that he was going to secure the funds. 565 days later, you hadn't seen any update. The kids went through a whole season with no lights out there. And all of a sudden, I make a post on November the 3rd, calling in the question about, hey, what happened? We ain't heard anything about it, right? We haven't heard anything about this in 565 days. That was on November 3rd on my page, right? Just so happened, amazingly, 12 days later, there was an announcement that the funds have been secured from the state of Alabama, by Representative Prince Chestnut, that he secured the funds of $200,000 so that they can finish the lights at Francis Marion High School. 4 days later, that was November the 12th. 4 days later, November the 15th or 16th, 3 or 4 days later, there's another post made by the chairman that the lights was up, right? And I asked a question. Well, how could that be possible to receive funds from the states and in 4 days do an open bid that usually take 5 to 8 weeks minimum to conduct, right? How is that possible, right? But the lights got done. Now, my question with that is, why did it have to take somebody asking the question before those elected officials who made a promise that they was going to get the lights done, get it done? 560 some days, 70 days later. It wasn't 3 weeks. It wasn't 3 months. It was from April of 2024 to November of 2025, just to get 6 lights put up. And there's been no evidence provided of a bid, of who won that bid, or what contractor and how much that cost. It was just said that they got $200,000 from the state. And there's nothing. There's no record of them voted on anything, and no minutes at a county commissioner meeting, because they just had the county commissioner meeting prior to that, the week prior. They didn't have an emergency meeting to come back and pick that. So it's impossible. Or if they did, it's illegal, because the commission didn't approve it. And people have the audacity to be upset at me for asking those questions like that, because it don't make sense. People are like, well, you just should be happy that they got the lights up. I am happy. But also, why did it take 575 days, 570 days? Right? April the 4th, November's the 11th. It took 19 months. Why did it take 19 months to put up 6 lights? Y'all see, 19 months to put up 6 lights. That you claiming that the county got $200,000 from the state. So the question come in, why would you say we got money from the state and then not provide proof that the county got money from the state? Why would you willingly put a state representative name out there, Prince Chestnut, as if he secured the money, and not show proof that the money got there? Why wouldn't you do that? Like, seriously, why? Why would you just throw people's names out there and not provide proof? Right? I just want people to, government don't work like that. They don't just say, hey, I'm going to give you this money, and then tomorrow that you get the money like that. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work that in 4 days you can do an open bid, because Alabama law says that for any public work or construction bids, you have to do over $30,000. You got to do a bid, an open bid for it. Like, I just want people to man, look, get out of your emotions and sit down and be like, you know what, man, golly, I don't like what he's saying. I may not like him as a person. I may think he's an idiot. I may think he's stupid, but that don't make sense. And I have yet to receive any supporting documentation to prove that what I said was wrong. What I said was wrong. You know, so at the end of the day, that's what it's about, accountability. And the thing is, as a community, this should be the bare minimum of what we do. This should be the bare minimum of the standard in which we hold our elected officials to. The bare minimum. This ain't graduate level stuff. This is bare minimum. And for elected officials to be in office for over 20 years, it shouldn't even be a question about it. It shouldn't even be a question. So asking questions, calling for people to be accountable. I was asked this morning that it's okay, like, was I trying to be an antagonist, right? For those people that may not know what an antagonist is somebody who always gonna have something negative to say, regardless of what, right? And I just said that I didn't realize that asking for somebody to be accountable, to provide proof on what they say, right, and to provide verifiable information to validate or prove what they say is correct, is being an antagonist. I just thought that was basic accountability. Like Flo said this. He said, since everyone has a boss or an entity that they're obligated to answer to, since your questions can't get answered because he believes you're an outsider, maybe you should start tagging the lieutenant governor or even Kay Ivey herself to motivate those questions getting answered and broadcast to the public. I would just say this, man. The thing about it is, I want people to understand the power that the community have. These elected officials work for you. They work for you. And they have people that they have to answer to. So don't feel like, and I know a lot of people have been frustrated because certain people feel like they've been protected by certain people in the community. Certain people have been afraid to speak out. The race and racism have been used big time against especially white people back home. If they ask the same question that I asked, they'll be painted as racist. And then they replay the same old song and dance of, hey, we're just a poor community, and you know, we just trying to get along. When the reality is, we have been having to deal with gross negligence of incompetence by our elected officials, by have shown repeatedly that they have made some very unwise decisions that have had negative impacts on the community, on the cities, on the county as a whole, over the years, period. That we've had leadership that has not been forthcoming. They have been putting information out what they want to be out, but they haven't been forthcoming in the real information on being forthcoming about what the realities are. We don't have good financial management throughout the county. We tend to just do certain things just to pander to certain people, right? To keep certain people happy and talk about certain stuff around election time, but we don't see nothing get done throughout it all. Listen, I'm not naive to think that everything's gonna everything happens overnight and change happens overnight. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm talking about. But I also am not naive enough to believe that when people are going to keep telling you stuff and you don't see the goddamn results of it, right? It is public information. ADECA, Alabama Department of Economic Development or something. ADECA, that's ADECA. They give out a lot of grants. You have a lot of grants, USDA grants. You have a lot of funding that we there's a lot of rural area grants that we can qualify for, but since we aren't in good financial standing, then there's an issue. Right? There was a post that was a year ago, and I'm gonna share that post that was talking about some money that was moved. There was two accounts with, I think, in Greene County over in Utah that had over $200,000 in it, and the chairman said that the fund came from some grant funding or some other fundings that he had, but the other members of the commission didn't know that those account was open, so they voted him out as the chairman. This was towards the last term and he was upset. So he protested and didn't come to any of the county commission meetings for like the last 3 months. And then he only showed up after they sworn in Barbara Howes and Carlton Lewis, who supported him to be voted back the chairman again. And then once he did that, he announced that the funds was coming back, right? And in his statement, he said that the reason why the funds was moved back, the reason why the funds went into that bank in the first place, because they couldn't secure, they wouldn't get a loan from the banks in Marion. Now, my question to this is, why couldn't the Perry County Commission, who is headquarters in Marion, why couldn't they get a loan from the banks in Marion if they was in good financial standing? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question. Right? But then turn around and say the county is strong financially. No, that's just misleading and a lie. That's what that is. Right? And to the people who got something to say about me having something to say every day, ask yourself this question. Why did Albert lie all of those lies? If he didn't lie all of those lies, I wouldn't have nothing to talk about. And I can just transition on into me and my retirement. But I got time. And because I want to. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you ain't got to come to the page. You don't. And what they said, and that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Because at the end of the day, my whole goal is to raise awareness. And I hope people see it for what it is. People can see it. They can digest it. They can take it. They can search for themselves. Right? And they can look at it and come to a conclusion themselves. Like, come to a conclusion themselves. At the end of the day, it is disrespectful to the first responders in Perry County for not to pay them holiday pay. And have the audacity to tell the county administrator to put out a letter. And in a letter, the letter says that only those who work on Christmas Day will get paid. But everybody else get it. Why is that? Ask yourself that. Why is that? That's retaliatory in nature. Because why do all of the other entities that fall up under as being paid by the Perry County, employees of Perry County, Alabama, why just the ambulance service and first responders? Right? And, we have to stop being intellectually lazy. And this is what I mean by that. Many people look for anything that presents confirmation bias and they go off of the first thing. But I would tell you this, right? And Travis at Facts, he said they don't read the comprehends. They go off what is said by people who they like instead of reading for themselves. I agree. And Flo said, love it. Keep it going, bro. It's not only for your purposes. It's for the good of the community. Listen, and for the people that wants to understand, as somebody who's transitioned from the military, if me wanting to come back home to my home county, why would I want to come home and have to deal with all this buffoonery and not speak up about it? Why would anybody want to come to our area and invest in our area when they got to deal with this type of foolishness? Do you understand that there are people that are willing to invest a lot of money into our area, but they don't trust the people that's in leadership position? And I ain't talking about 1 to 2. I'm talking about businesses that want to come. But it's hard to attract business when you don't got good infrastructure. When you don't have a city that have bad infrastructure that's not forthcoming and open and honest about their plans of making it happen. When you have county government who people don't trust further than they can throw them, right? Who don't have a good reputation outside of the county. I just want people to really understand, because if that is so true, and you got all these connections all the way up to DC, if that's so true, then why aren't we seeing any results of it? Huh? Why? Why is the chairman saying when we get $500,000 to restore the old jail, why in 2018, why in 2023 he said we sent back $285,000 of it, but then didn't provide no proof of it? You see what I'm saying? Like, those are the questions. If you got $500,000 to do something, what is the actual plan for it? But I guess people just comfortable with people telling you that. I'm not comfortable with it. Right? I come from an environment in military, trust but verify. I hear what you're saying, but let me see it. Okay, once I see it, and I see it what it is, and I got my goddamn technical manual that has a description with a picture on it that say this what that is, okay, cool. Because once I put my signature on it, I'm the one responsible for it. And I ain't gonna just take your word for it. Because at the end of the day, if I just take your word for it and I sign for it, and it comes up, it was the wrong thing, I'm financially liable for it. But, you know, my prayer is that the community can see what it is, that community can continue to raise their awareness, and the community can come together and do the things that they need to do. Man, I hope you guys have a great, wonderful, and blessed day, and I will talk to you later. God bless. Yep, I'll talk to you later as soon as I'll be able to finish. But it's funny because I got to, hold on.